Good afternoon, knitters. How are you? My name is Karen. This is Recreational Knitting, and I'm coming to you from Ormond Beach, Florida. Today's podcast is going to be a little different. I am going to be discussing the actual sweater that I'm wearing, which is the Ranunculus, which many of you have knit, I'm sure. I'm just going to stand very quickly and let you see. I'll give you the particulars of this. Whoop, here's my cushion. I'll give you the particulars of this one that I'm wearing and then show you the first one that I actually knit about, 2 years ago. And tell you my thoughts about the pattern, tell you my thoughts about knitting it, tell you what I think the pluses and minuses are. And maybe you'll change your mind about however you feel about the Ranunculus. All right. First of all, this one is made with Ritual dyes, which is a fingering weight it's in the New Growth colorway in Maiden, which is their fingering weight based 90% wool, 10% nylon. And it's coupled with Southampton. I think I caused it East Hampton in my regular podcast, but it's, maybe it's the other way around. Southampton, did I say that right? Southampton mohair, 75-25, I believe, with silk. And let's see, from WEBS, yarn.com. I'm old school, I know it as WEBS. So I put those two together, and you can see the little brown spots in this. And I coupled that with mohair, making it a DK weight. I live in Florida. This is not going to be a summer top. If I had just done it in fingering weight, it would have been. And that's okay. I had this mohair, I wanted to get rid of it, kind of. Not a huge fan of mohair. But this is my take on this particular Ranunculus. I think it fits amazingly well. I do. I have some modifications that I did. In the pattern, it calls for short rows, which I've done in the back. I don't know whether you can see that. Hopefully you can. And then it tells you to come around in the front and do short rows in the front. I did not do that, as you can see. I went directly to the pattern from there. So that's one modification I did. Let me back up, talk about the actual cast on. Those of you that have looked at the pattern and have bought the pattern probably have gone, oy vey, I'm not going to do that. What is this? And maybe have given up. There, she gives you a choice of a couple different cast-ons. I did it for my first one. I decided that I was just going to go to the end of that cast-on and cast on that many stitches. And since it's a paid-for pattern, I won't tell you how many stitches are, but if you have that pattern, you know. So that's what I did for this. As you can see, it's a yoke. Yokes aren't always the most flattering on me, but with this lace yoke, I think it's okay and it works for me. I prefer to have a raglan. It's just my shoulders, as you probably can see, are kind of like non-existent. You know, I was okay with the 80s, shoulder pads, but they're kind of slopey and they're non-existent. So with this lace here, to detract from those shoulders, I think I'm good. The pattern calls for, basically, you can do short or long sleeves. The short would be right up in here, which not happening because I've got old lady wings, and I didn't want to make it long because I don't know that I would wear it as much. So I can see myself wearing this with a long sleeve white t-shirt in the winter here in Florida. I can see myself maybe, yeah, that's probably how I would wear it. So I made mine elbow length, and that's a perfect length for me. I used a half twisted rib on all, and including, no, I didn't do that at the bottom, and I'm not sure why. That was a mistake. Probably just wanted to get it off the needles. So anyway, those are the modifications that I know about, that I can remember. Yeah, I think that's it. If you know the pattern, you know that after the yoke, you go to the raglan, which is here, and that's where you're going to decide what size you're going to make. So, you know, you make the size and you make it wider, depending on how big, small you want it. One of the things that I would suggest, if you've thought about the ranunculus, thought about knitting it, and are thinking, why are people liking that pattern? There is a reason. This is my suggestion, go to the project page, start looking through. I think there's like 24,000 projects to look at. So you'll get an idea and a flavor of maybe something that you might be interested in doing that encompasses this neckline, and will show you why the pattern is popular. The little girl that's on the page in Ravelry with the maple leaf is not a great picture, and in spite of that picture, the pattern still continues to sell out. The pattern is by Midori Hirose, and it was published in 2017, and it continues to be sold. It's one of the top sellers. As you know, if you go to the Ravelry, you know, what's hot now, it's usually there. And there's a reason for that, is that pretty much it will fit anybody and everybody and look pretty good on most people. Oh, go back. One of the things that I did was I did not make this crop. I made this normal, like a t-shirt. Comes down over my belly. That's the way I like it. All right, let's go back to size and the raglan, where you do your raglans. And this will give you the circumference for the body. And when you break off into sleeves, that's when you decide whether you want to do a long sleeve or a short sleeve. There's quite a number of variations that you can do for this. As I said, I didn't do short rows, made mine longer, did half twisted rib. I think that's it, okay? Now, you can see, and I'll stand up once more, you can see that with mohair, fingering weight, this has really good coverage. You can't see through it. This has not been blocked, by the way. I want to give it a nice steam block. I don't think it will need any wet block, but this will need a nice steam block. But you can see the lace, you can see the detail. This is not a pattern, in my opinion, that you would want a busy yarn that, you know, maybe a sock yarn or something like that. You want something that's going to be tonal, that's going to show off the actual lace pattern, if you decide to do the lace pattern, right? So yeah, you can do all this by increasing the number of stitches provided in the pattern, you can increase, decrease, however it goes. You can do that just with a plain stockinette. You can do just this part. You can do whatever you want. I have one on the needles now that I'm in the middle of this, and I'm not going to be doing any of that. I just decided it doesn't add all that much to it, and I just want it to be different. So yeah, that's my vote for that one. Can make each and every one a little different. Now, I'm going to give you some advice. This is not a pattern that you can sit in front of the TV and just knit, in my humble opinion. You got to count, and you need to count each row. And it wouldn't hurt to count each row twice if you're doing it by the pattern. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I probably have another Ranunculus that I've pulled out because I didn't count. So there's that. You really need to pay attention to how many stitches you have, because this row right here is probably the most dependent upon that, I guess, because you need to get your little flowers, whatever those things are, lined up. And it's not easy. You know, tinked backed several times on both of these, and I still have an error in the first one that I knit. So, and I'll show you that right now. I did this in DK weight Vomis, and I thought I wouldn't have enough, so I started to stripe with another one, and that's what I got. A little bit shorter, but again, there's one of these little things that I did not notice until, of course now I can't find it. One of these little flowers that I did not notice, it was off. Oh, it's, yeah, 2 of them, 3 of them, right here in the front. Of course they're right there in the front. Can you see them? Yeah. So, yeah, so they're off. Very important to count. This one, I did do the short rows in the front as well as in the back. This is more airy and breezy. You can see through it a little bit better, but you know, it's still a DK weight. This is a DK weight because it's lace and fingering. So, it's important to count. It's important to pay attention. It's not something where you can take to Knit and Natter, you know, your knitting groups. I don't think. But where you're going to run into the biggest problem, I think, will be from round 6 through round 21. Those are the actual rows that I think are most problematic, and you have to pay attention to the counting. Would I do this again? Yeah, of course I would do it again. And I have started. I cast one on the other day just for grins. And here I am in the middle of a row, of course. But this is it. This is the start of it. Strings and things. I don't know whether you can really see that well or not. No short rows in the front, short rows in the back. I don't know why. I just decided I thought short rows in the front kind of didn't make sense to me. This is all the lace. I'm now working on the little flower row. Again, important to count on that one. This is the last row. And yeah, this will be a fingering weight, and I don't know whether you can really see because it's not stretched out so much yet, but it will be a little more see-through. I may wear a camming underneath there. So yeah, I like it. I like it. This is made with, hold that thought. Smooshy with cashmere sock yarn. And it's 400 yards, but it's 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it's going to be nice and drapey and just like a cloud. But yeah, I wanted a light pink one for summer. I'll probably be making it a little bit shorter than these, and I'll probably be making it about the same length as this, but it won't have any mohair in it so it will be definitely a true fingering weight. So would I do another one in a worsted weight? I sure would. I have the wool back there to do it, and I'm going to do it in a Noro. We're going to see how that looks. I went through all the projects and I thought, there's a reason this isn't knit up in a Noro. And I have 2 big dragon eggs of a cotton, mostly cotton, and I'm going to be trying that out. So I'll let you know how that works out. But in the meantime, the Ranunculus is something that I definitely would recommend trying. You may get frustrated on certain rows. Pay attention. One of the best recommendations that I can give you is to go to Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. Just, go into, YouTube, and I'm sure that will come up. She has a whole section of where she will talk to you about cast on. She will talk to you about the yoke. She will talk to you about certain stitches within there. It's really well done. I would suggest it. I would recommend it. And it really helped me with my first one. So yeah, there are places that you get confused, particularly if you've not done this garment in the past. While it's easy, it's not easy, if that makes sense. Each row has its own complexities. I'm not trying to scare you off. I'm just saying that counting is important. Counting, you hear it. Yeah, counting is important. Hearing a pattern? Yeah, counting is important, and making certain that you're ready to go on to the next. Take it slow. Be mindful of what you're doing while you're knitting, and I think you will be fine. So, leave an idea. What do you think? What do you think about the Ranunculus? Have you done it before? Are you going to do it again? Do you have ideas out of your stash? Are you going to buy new yarn for it? Do you like the drapey, lacy look with a camisole underneath, or do you like more of a traditional sweater? Is it a mohair dare or is it not? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about the Ranunculus. Let me know what you think about mine. I love it. And I will talk to you later. Knit in peace.